So starting the test drive in this Honda Pilot Touring, I'm so glad I drove the LX before getting behind the wheel of this, just because I wanted to compare the differences between this vehicle and the base model Pilot. And it's a world of difference. Now, if you don't really care about certain amenities, like with most things, a lot of people don't miss something until it's gone. If you're not used to having heated seats or the navigation system, all of that, you're not gonna miss it necessarily in the LX trim. Because that's still a pretty nice SUV. You don't have your power seats or anything fancy, but you're saving $10,000 on the price. And again, if you're not used to having that, you're not necessarily gonna miss it. But if you're used to having wireless Apple CarPlay, if you're used to having heated seats and navigation system, I highly recommend just paying the extra $10,000 and getting that and everything else that comes on the Touring trim level, specifically the all-wheel drive. Because the LX I drove had all-wheel drive too. They all drive the same. But I just feel like with this one, having the different drive modes makes a huge difference. Now, in the LX I drove, I didn't have trail, I didn't have sand. I think I had tow, and that one had a tow hitch. But I also, this one, like I said earlier, has a sport mode, but I thought that's what tapping the button did. But it seems like it's two different drive modes, so leave a comment if you can, if you know what the difference is. It just seems they seem like they're both sport modes, but they're different sport modes, and that's very interesting to me. But of course, this one knows how to lay the power down. Just the Pilots in general having that 285 horsepower system. So it does tend to want to shift a little hotter with the S on. Let's see what it does when I put it into actual sport mode. So not a big difference there. Again, I'm curious if it's just two sport modes, two ways to turn the sport mode on, or if there's something else going on there. But still in sport mode, pretty peppy. Love how it pulls. And I said this in the LX review, but having the paddle shifters certainly helps in terms of how you put the power down. I just like hearing the downshifts, honestly. And not the snappiest transmission, but it does what you tell it to most of the time. But I'm gonna leave it in the sport mode, getting on the interstate here, and then I'm gonna try and get it back into eco mode, if possible, to test out how it does cruising. But we're not gonna floor, we're just gonna give it a little bit of throttle here. Love that sound again. One of the best sounding SUVs out now, I think. Let's put it into Econ. Let's go ahead and throw on the adaptive cruise. And then with the lane centering, we're gonna cruise right here. And just to show off the system, love Honda's safety system here. The lane centering is superb. The adaptive cruise is pretty nice. And as I adjust my gap, it's very quick to respond. It doesn't wait till it's on a bumper and then slams the brakes like a lot of adaptive cruise systems do. And you can just tell it's always awake. A lot of systems are not that way, but this one certainly is. But in terms of competition, you have the Traverse. I don't think it's necessarily a Yukon or Escalade competitor, but I do think that it's kind of smack dab in the middle of both of those, just because it gives you the best of both worlds. You get that three-row SUV feel, and then you also have the maneuverability of a smaller SUV, not necessarily a big Tahoe, big Yukon, big Expedition. And specifically with how this is priced, around that $50,000 mark, it's pretty impressive what all you get. And then you also have that Honda Pilot reliability, which these are known to go 300, 400,000 miles. I don't know if there's a lot of data on the 10-speed, but definitely with your V6. But all in all, I think it's a good SUV for the money. I like the new redesign. It looks great. And I just like everything that comes on this Pilot. So this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2023 Honda Pilot in the touring trim level.